welcome back to the Foxed Up Garage. This is Greg. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I was just getting ready to start sanding this and kind of prepping for paint. And then I realized kind of the last second that you'll be able to see down in here, and you can't really tell from here because there's a shadow, but that's like a light blue and primer color down here, front part of this radiator support. So I get the camera in there. So yeah, and I'm not gonna be able to paint that too easily with this front bumper cover on, so I'm gonna take this whole thing off. I've already got the lights disconnected. The whole wiring harness is gone. I've already got these brackets off, so all that's left is just, you've got some nuts around here along this seam to come off. A couple of them are from the inside of the front, most of them are from the inside of the fender here. And there's only two sizes. I think it's a 7/16 and a 5/16. So that's all you need. It should only take 5 minutes to pop that off, if that long. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna continue on my prep work. Alright, well, doesn't that look nice? Didn't take too long. I did need a deep weld socket instead of a regular socket. And then I forgot about the bolts underneath here for the ground effects. They go along the bottom here. There's 4 bolts. Of course, mine only had 2 in there. But that's it. Now I can get to, this is what I wanted to paint here, is the front of the radiator support. So I couldn't really get to that before with the front end on there. So now I can paint all that together with the fender well and the engine bay. All right, just want to throw this in there. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. So now I'm going to clean this, and then I'll be back, and then we'll get to work on sanding everything. I feel like I can't stop cleaning. So I've cleaned everything, the whole front of the radiator support, even the bumper brackets down here. So the next thing is sanding. I've got several of these gray Scotch-Brites. I'll be using those and basically just going over every single surface. If I encounter any rust or any rough edges, I may use something a little more abrasive than this, but this should be enough. You really just want to scuff this up. So once I get this all scuffed up, I'm going to tape everything off. That's going to be a job in itself. Get this engine covered up. So then I'm going to go over all the surfaces I know I'm not going to be able to spray, such as down in here on this side here. I'm not going to be able to get a spray can in there, so I'm probably going to just coat that with maybe some Pour 15 or something. And same thing down in here, kind of back on this side. And then also, actually this I'll be able to get to pretty good, but I know there's some areas up in here where I'm not going to be able to spray too easily. I think on the side of this panel here, you see how this side's kind of rusty, but as you get up in here close to the radiator, it's very tight, so I'm gonna have to work with a little foam brush and get down in here on this surface. So I'll use Pour 15 for that. All right, enough talking. Time to get to work. so you may have noticed I'm a little crazy with my masking and taping. So I had everything going well, and then you noticed I put all this cardboard in here and I masked other stuff that I'm actually going to be painting. So that is because I'm going to be spraying my brake lines with zinc spray. So I masked everything for paint, and then I masked it all just to paint the lines, and then once those are painted, I'll pull all this stuff out, and then I'll just tape off the lines and wrap those up. So I figured it'd be better to paint the lines before I painted everything else black. So without further ado, let's go ahead and spray these lines. I went ahead and did the fender wells. I didn't show that in my time lapse, but basically all this in here, this mask is just temporary. So once I paint the lines, I'll pull all of this stuff off, mask just the lines themselves, and then it'll all be ready to paint black. And but everything else is ready for paint. Got the whole car wrapped up. And you would think just doing some rattle can work, you wouldn't need to cover the whole car, but the primer I'm using is a 2-part epoxy primer. So it'll stick really well to anything it lands on. So I just wanted to cover everything up as much as I could. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get these lines done. And before I paint them, I will go ahead and wipe them down again with the wax and grease remover, because I was handling these when I was masking everything. And then I wanted to show you what I was going to use. I'm going to do 1 coat of the regular zinc it here, and then I'm going to do a 2nd coat and possibly a 3rd coat with the bright zinc here. So I think the regular zinc does a better job at protecting the metal, because these will rust. I did take all the galvanized coating off of these, all the zinc coating, so they're just bare metal right now, just plain steel. So yeah, I'm going to get a good coat of zinc on there. I'm going to do the bright zinc over that, and I am going to mask off this brass piece. I'm not going to paint that. All right, let's do this. Take a look. This first coat of the bright zinc spray, it actually looks really good. I mean, it doesn't look like polished metal or anything, but it looks like it could be a factory galvanized steel line. It doesn't look like spray paint necessarily, but I think it came out pretty good. The first regular zinc spray I used was very light. It was very light, very flat, almost like a white primer almost. So this actually darkened it up a little bit, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it. It may be kind of hard to tell, but there is some shine to it there. So and it dries pretty quickly. It's already dry to the touch. But I'm just gonna let these sit here about 15 minutes or so before I move them around or anything, and then I'll come by and take off some of this masking that I put up. So I'm sparing you guys even some time lapse, because it is very slow and tedious. So as you can see, I'm getting these lines taped up here. Still got to do all that over there. I've got this fender well done and it's ready for paint. So all these lines are wrapped up and everything's safe from the black paint that doesn't need black paint on it. I still may need to do a little bit back in there. It's kind of hard to even see. We'll see. Some of that, if it gets black paint on it, doesn't matter. Like these hoses here, they're old. There's enough grease on them where paint's not going to stick to it anyways. But I'll put the time lapse back on when it's time to paint. By the way, I didn't mention before, I have this soft edge tape right here on the corner where the black paint is going to meet the surface there. So basically it just has a little lip under the edge of the tape that will allow some of the paint to go in there and it'll give it a nice, it won't give it a hard line edge on my spray paint when I put that on. So I did pick that up. I'll show you what that looks like. So it's just this little roll here. This is from 3M. Look, it's even got NASCAR on it, so you know it's got to be good. So let's peel this off a little bit. You can see there, because it just has a sticky part in the middle. It's a little bit thicker than the edges. So that'll will allow the edge to kind of be off of the surface a little bit and just sticks in the middle. So, all right, back to work. All right, everything's taped up. Over here it's a little tight because of the master cylinder, so I actually just stuffed some plastic up in there to keep the overspray out. The only thing left to do now, kind of the last bit I was waiting on to the very end, is I need to move these jack stands because they're just on the bottom part of this where I want to paint. So I need to move, relocate these and just clean this one little area under here so I can paint on the bottom edge of this. By the way, I didn't show this before, but I'm using a Spray Max 2-part epoxy primer. So to operate the two different agents here, you have this red cap that's in the cap here. You set this on the ground and then take your can, put it right on that button, and then push down on the can, and it'll pop the little reservoir inside, and you can use 2-part epoxy, and this will last for a couple of days or so in the can before it hardens. So I'm going to start by hitting all the areas I can hit with my spray can that have bare metal. So I'm going to do all those first, then we'll just kind of cover everything else because I don't know if this is going to be enough to do everything. I'll do as much as I can, so I'll start with the bare metal part. Alright, so I'm going to wait about 20 minutes after this first coat. I used this entire can. It covered pretty much everything I needed to cover. But I'm going to do one more coat of primer. There's a few spots that are kind of light. My backup primer is just a regular Rust-Oleum automotive primer. So I'm going to hit this for all the spots that I didn't quite reach with the epoxy primer. Alright guys, this really came out really good just for the primer. I've already started doing a little bit of wet sanding on it, but you can see how it looks in there all black. Just never mind all the million little holes there. So yeah, it looks good, looks good. I'm gonna do some wet sanding now. Alright, so everything has been wet sanded and wiped down. The first wipe down, I'll wipe down over it again with the wax and grease remover. And that'll clean up the last little bit of dust. Found another little spot of rust. I had to go in and scrub down and put some more prime roller right there behind where the battery goes. Other than that, everything turned out pretty good. And I think I'm changing my mind on the gloss black. I think I may go with a satin black, but we'll see. We'll just have to wait another 10 seconds to find out. All right, see you in a second. Alright, so it's a nice warm day. It's a little breezy, so I pulled this out just enough so I could clamp the top of it here to the house so we don't get any swaying action in the kill room here. Yeah, I'm gonna pull some plastic I had on the floor, pull that out, and I'm just gonna spray down the floor and wash out as much dirt and dust as I can. And then I'll put on this front wall, put a fan in there, and I'll start kind of drying that out a little bit. I'll put some plastic down on the floor, and then we'll be ready to paint. Leave a little space there to walk in and out, and then I'll tape that off when I'm ready to start painting. So I got my fan in there, good enough, should work. Got the back taped up. The only place it's gonna pull air is actually from under the car, and hopefully it'll just keep any dust back there down low as it pulls it up through the front. So all I've got left to do is wipe down everything. We're ready to paint. Yes, I'm finally ready to do some paint. Big paint reveal. Hot rub black. It's a nice matte finish. A little bit of a sheen to it. It's not flat, so I think that's gonna look good. Picked up this little kit online for about 80 bucks. And I don't have a measuring cup. That's one thing I forgot to get today. So I'm using this solo cup. I've got some marks on it from my 411 mix. A spray gun, mask, gloves, pretty much everything I need, and this thing is ready to spray. So wish me luck. Okay, so I think it came out pretty good. There's a little bit of what looks like orange peel here and there, but hopefully some of that's going to fade out a little bit. It was pretty orange peel right here in front, but even that's starting to flatten a little bit. That reducer really helps smooth this out. So right now it's pretty glossy, which looks cool, but as this dries, this will turn into more of a matte finish. So we're gonna let this sit. I don't have any heat put on it, so really it needs to sit about 16 hours. I may come back out here tonight and see what it looks like. It turned out pretty good. It's my first time spraying anything. So yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Didn't mind that. Maybe I'll tackle the rest of the car. Alright, so I've got some wash thinner here. I'm going to use that to clean up the gun. Anything else, my screwdriver stir stick. By the way, do not use a solo cup to measure out your paint. The reducer is going to melt the cup. As you can see, the bottom melted right off of this one. And I get this cleaned up, and then I'll be done for the day, and I'll come out tomorrow and take off all the plastic. So the final paint is on, and that is it for this video. I'm gonna make you guys wait until my next video when I get all this plastic off, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. So I appreciate you watching. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe, because you don't want to miss the next video when I get rid of all this plastic. And we'll see you next time. See you.